Hello, everyone. I'm Higher Ways Woman, Catherine Toleradon Masters, aka TLG. Today's June 19th, 2017. I'm going to talk about the Dogon people. I have talked about when I met this one reptilian race that I was not afraid of them at all. And I had said that I would talk about the Dogon people. The Dogon people come from, there's three planets. There's Sirius A, B, and C, and it's spelled Sirius. And the Dogon people are also called, aka, the Dolphin people. And I had no prior knowledge whatsoever of the Dogon people. And it was around 98, 99 that when I was able to start really recovering from the surgery that I had to undergo to save my life from a fatal tumor. I had to go through two of them, and the second one, which was in December of 1992, was 10 and a half hours, and I was given no chances of surviving. They didn't know if I would be partially or fully paralyzed, and they really didn't know if I would know who I was. And so it was by 98 that I met an incredible, true soul man of God who was a pain specialist. And thanks to him, I was able to start getting free and getting well and started my journey back to me. And I had, before that, that I was sent back into my body when I died in October 92. I was in the hospital, and the doctors and nurses were keeping my body viable for 14 minutes while I was with them. They had told me about abilities and gifts, abilities I would have. I don't really like the term gift because people think that, well, it's just given to you and therefore you didn't have to work for it, so therefore you can just give it away. No, that's not true. I had to work a lot of work to not only know about these abilities, but excuse me for just a minute. My apologies for that. I have been doing a lot of work in other videos, and I've been going at it for several hours, and my voice is kind of starting to kind of go a little bit, but I promised that I'd do this, and I'm going to get this done. The Dogon people. Now, I was not allowed to learn about crystals, and I loved rocks, and I can remember being very little, and I'm going to be a geologist. That's the field I wanted to go into. And anytime that I tried to learn about stones and all their information, that there was always roadblocks. There's always something that was blocking it. As I got older, and I even had people tell me about that, that stones had powers, and I wanted to learn about it. The blockages came. And I was told that there will come a time that you will learn about it and you will understand why up until that point that you were not allowed to know about the knowledge of stones, of crystals and stuff. And so, okay, Good. Finally. All right. Fine. No more trying to push on, trying to understand. Good. Fine. Why didn't you just say that when I was young? So anyway, and so when people come up and tell me about what abilities these stones have, I would tell them, I believe you. I do not have that knowledge, and I cannot say or do anything um, but to say that I know that you know that. I just don't. I don't have it, and I. And if they want to teach me, I would tell them, listen, I have been told that I'm not allowed to know these truths yet. But there's coming a time when I will. And so I cannot learn about this. I cannot allow any teaching because basically they'll wipe the memory right out. And I've had that done to me many times. And not just with it. When they want you to learn something and they want you to hold off, no matter what you try to do, you ain't going to get to learn it. You might as well give up and let them have their timing. All things have their timing. And so the timing was when I died, the first place that I was standing at, and I knew where I was at, I was standing before these crystals and stuff. And I knew everything I knew what these crystals represented. I knew that they were the goddess stones. And I knew why they were called that, because the energy stayed with them and they were living stones. Crystals are living stones. So are many other stones. But we're going to talk about crystals right now. They're the most powerful stones in the world. And so, I just gave you a big clue. And so, now came the time in 98, 99 for me to learn about crystals. And who was it that came? It was, and this is the truth now. I see this wooden ship, like they used to have, with the big masts on them, and big, huge wooden structures, these massive, incredible boats, And there was a man that was at the helm, and he was all that I saw. And the best way that I could tell you what he looked like, which is very funny to me too, was that with Popeye, you don't remember Pluto, that they're always fighting over olive oil, and that bushy, funny looking beard, mouth and stuff. It had black beard, black hair, and he was a very jolly type of a being. And he goes, "Don't you know that crystals, you can astral travel with crystals?" And he has this jolly laugh. And they began teaching me about crystals, and that you don't have to wait till moon full moons to charge them and put them in sand and stuff. You can actually use electricity to charge them, and magnets, using magnets and wires, silver or copper, and water. And I'm going to stop there. If you want to know more, you need to talk to me in person about it, because crystals are so powerful. And it was I used to be an industrial electrician, and I used my knowledge to charge my crystals, because I was getting a bunch of it. The first crystal that I got, actually, I was emptying out the ashtray and stuff out of my car into this dumpster, and I see this black velvet bag. And I pick it up, open it up, and here's this crystal. It's a big crystal. And I hear, now begins your education. Because this came soon after that the Dogon showed up. This Dogon was telling me that, don't you know that crystals, that you can astral travel with crystals. And so I put this crystal on, and I couldn't sleep for about 3 nights. I couldn't sleep. And I sat there and I wondered, well, why is it that I can't sleep? What is it that I'm doing different? Is that it? That I'm doing something different? And I thought, well, the only thing that I'm really doing different is I'm wearing this crystal. So I took it off and put it on my nightstand, went to bed, went right to sleep. The next day I got to thinking about that, And so I stood in front of the mirror and I put this crystal on, and I took it off, and I put it on, and I took it off, and I kept watching myself in the mirror, and all of a sudden I saw it. I put the crystal on, and I looked brighter. I took it off, and I looked duller. Put it on, brighter. Took it off, duller. And then I started finding out, they're teaching me that, well, a crystal, all you need for a crystal to work is for it to be touching. It doesn't have to be hooked up. You don't need technology doing this and this and this. That just need to touch it. It just needs to touch. And so that when there are things that I needed to do, and especially when I didn't have the energy, I would put my crystal on, and I'd put crystals in my pocket. And then when I learned about charging them, this one particular day, this is when they were really going to show me about the power of crystals. I had charged them for about 12 hours, and I put a couple, one in each pocket, pants pocket, and then I was wearing a skirt that had double pockets, so I put one in each, and I put my crystal on just at the time that a friend knocked at the door. And so it's Rock. Excuse me. And so, hey, Rock, I said, come on in. I said, hey, I got this really funny email this morning. I said, I want to show it to you. You get a big kick out of it. Rock was a huge guy, and he's a Vietnam vet. Him and his brothers all served in Vietnam, in the militaries. And so I was sitting down in the chair at my computer desk, and he was sitting on the edge of my bed. And as it was coming up, I wanted him to look at a certain area of the video. Pay attention, because this is where this is going to enter in at. So pay attention. So I did this. As I looked at him, and I seen these sparks come off of my fingertips. And I hear this kapow, and Rock jumps to his feet. Now, Rock he's about 6'6", and he's probably about a good close to 400. He's a big man. And he yells, "Did you see that? Did you see that?" And I said, "The sparks off the fingertips?" He goes, "No, not just those. The one that went off your fingertip into your monitor, blowing up your computer." And I looked at my computer, and sure enough, there's nothing on the screen. And as I'm looking at it, he shoots out the door. He leaves. He's gone. And fortunately, I had it under warranty. It was a Gateway computer, and they sent out a tech, and the monitor, the keyboard, the motherboard, and that disc, the square disc drive, not the CD disc, the square diskette drive, all had to be replaced. And so, one of the things that also that you'll experience, now you want to wear a crystal at the level of your heart, and have it of a pretty good size. A small one, you're not going to notice it so much. That's a pretty good size one. It don't have to be quite this thick, but maybe about that, long, about maybe a quarter of an inch, half inch in diameter. You want one that is going to amp up your energies, your powers. Okay. Stand in front of that mirror and watch yourself, and you'll see it. So energy, yeah, they know about crystals. They call them, in science, they call them oscillators, because they sit there and they vibrate when they're using them to transmit whatever. That's why they got such powerful machines, technologies, because of crystals. They know about what they can do. And you'll even notice, especially if you're doing it for the first time and you've been wearing it for quite a little while, that when you take it off, it'll feel like you'll feel this leaving, almost like the breath has been taken out of you. These are leaving. They are truly living stones. They are alive. And yes, they will communicate with you. And telling you that, now you have that knowledge. They will tell you, for example, that one moonlit night, it was very clear sky, and I thought, well, let's give them a treat. I'll put out all my crystals, and I had a lot. At that time, I had a lot of crystals. And I lived in this townhouse, and they had townhouses. To every building, there was 4 townhouses. And I just had this new family move in, a single mom. She had two daughters. One was around 16, the other one was about 13. And as I was taking my crystals into the backyard, it had wooden fence, but they all needed to be replaced. They weren't going to keep out intruders. And as I was taking them out, I hear this, "We're afraid." You're afraid? What do you mean afraid? Because I heard it very well, quite audibly, actually. And I said, the platter that I had, I put it down, went in to go get the next one. And I step outside again. We're afraid. We're afraid. What are you afraid? What do you mean you're afraid? And so now when I'm now I'm taking out my most precious pendant, crystal pendant, and I hear, okay, she's out there with her boyfriend. That's what they were talking about. These kids are going to wait until that I finished putting everything out there, and I went inside, because this is about midnight, and I go to bed, and they're gonna help themselves. And I thought, that's what they're talking about. what they were afraid of. Okay, they're not going to get that opportunity. So I put on this beautiful music. I sit at my dining room table. I open up the big dining room windows that I can see out into my backyard, and I sat there all night long till the sun come up, watching over them. And as the sun started coming up, I brought them inside. Yes, they are living stones. And yes, there are ways that you can use these to astral travel. You do not need to go into the meditation and do all this lengthy stuff, blah, blah, blah. No, there's actually a way that you can arrange crystals that while you sleep, you will astral travel. You will do it. And also, that when you do the out of body experience, I want to tell you this, that there is going to be what appears to be a nemesis, somebody who is going to make you feel like they're a witch, or they're threatening and stuff. And I had that happen to me on this one particular time that I was out of body, and I had left, and I was going over everywhere, flying around, having a great time, and it was like I see this person that appeared like a witch, and they're inside black clothing, and I didn't like that person. And it was like this person was hindering me. Now, I'll tell you who that is, because everybody will have that. That is this one is there to keep you from being outside of your body too long, because if you are out of your body for too long a period of time, an entity can come in and take over your body, and you're not getting back in. You're not getting back control. So there will be that. There will be a presence that will keep you from being gone too long. And you need to be, now that you got that, you know that knowledge, then you yourself can help you not be gone, because 5 minutes of being out of your body is pushing it. Okay? It's pushing it. It's a wonderful experience. It's a great experience to be able to do that. And there is also a way to get out of to do to get out of your soul, to astral travel. There is a way that you can do that you can put your mind to it, and that you can up and come out of your body. I had in one of my astral travels that I was where these domed huts were, and they're like about maybe 4 foot tall. They look like they were made out of clay, and there's just one entrance. And I seen this marble carving that was by them, and it was like of an eagle, and it was a cream pastel, of a cream color, white cream, and then kind of a creamy tan color. And then where there was kind of like a dark kind of charcoal marbling, it was amazing that they used where that charcoal marbling for where the feathers of it, the wings were, and the tail feathers, and it was the most beautiful carving I think I've ever seen with marbling. It was just amazing, the talent. And it was this was a very barren land, and I looked at these huts, and I'm wondering, well, where is everybody? And I looked back at this carving, and I thought, back on Earth, that's not something that you would ever leave out. You'd have to chain that up to keep keep people from stealing that. And the minute that I thought that, there were these people who come up from that hut, and I saw that actually those hut isn't where they dwelled. It was too small. It covered their entrance into where they lived underground, and they looked kind of Native American, and they were not happy about me being there. And I learned that, yeah, in the astral plane, in the soul planes, that you are sensed very easily. For there was no concern for my presence when I was sitting there admiring this beautiful carving, the statue, and the person who made it, how talented they would be. But the minute that I thought about that, how there are people who would steal this, that was a different frequency. And they felt that. They felt that. This is like in the abode when I was with God, when God took me in to the abode, and I experienced everything that God has experienced, all the hopes, dreams, the urgencies, the emergencies, all this stuff. That everything has a vibration, a frequency, and we are all set up. Everything, the cosmos. It's like if you think of the spider web with a hub, that how a spider that can tell the difference between when there is wind or rain or something like a leaf hit it, it knows the difference between those two, what its meal is. It can tell it. Well, that's the same way that our souls are. That that it knows that when a pure soul is in existence and what they're doing and everything's going well, to when that there is something that should not be, and that alerts, and now comes the centuries after that. And so as it is on the pure soul level, so it is on the evil level, that they are set up the same way, that they can tell that, well, oh, they're evil, blah, blah, blah is there, but the moment that a pure soul enters in, they detect that right off the bat. Right off the bat. So it works in both of them. And so now I'm going to let's go to the second now of the when I got to be with them on their planet. And this is an astral travel. I had set up my crystals and went to sleep. And I was standing on this beautiful, I was out in nature, and it was carpeted grass. And there was this clearing, and there was a pond. It wasn't like a huge pond. It was a nice little size pond. And I seen that on the edge of where the trees were around us, that on one part, that there were these little wooden cabins at, and these two mature couple come out, and their hair is the Snow White, pure white hair, and nicely casual dress, and they come out and can we help you? And I said, I am looking for healing for what they've done to me in my abdomen. I am needing healing. I'm seeking healing. And they go, well, come with us. And as I started walking with them, I seen this huge flash of light. And I turned, and I could see that, kind of over the top of this forest, that I could see this enormous, these lightning flashes, lightning. And I mean, it was bright, bright white. I thought, what in the world is going on? And I just turned and I started walking through the forest. And at one point, I see this mesa, and I see this. I knew that it was, like a refinery, that it was some type of an industry. And I I have built a refinery, and I know about that. There are this type of styrofoam kind of that they put around pipes and vessels, and then they got an aluminum covering, and it looks all very nice and neat when they're done. I mean, it's something pretty incredible, even actually kind of artistically beautiful to see, and everything, the entire structures of this refinery, was covered like this. And I knew, that that's pretty smart to have covered all of it, and not like kind of like we do here. We only do a partial of it. Those of us who built it know that the refinery should be fully covered in the aluminum, because aluminum is to electromagnetic energy what kryptonite is to Superman. Neutralizes it. Lasers can't get to it. Excuse me for a minute. And so I kept walking, and I came to this big clearing, and I look up and I see these white dots. I see these white dots and these black dots, and when they would hit, they'd throw off this lightning. What it weren't. I could tell that they were battling, but there were these two in particular. Man, when they would hit, it would be even greater, of this lightning energy just release and just explode throughout the sky. And at one point, they locked onto each other, and they were tumbling down and tumbling down. And as they got very close to me, I would say 75 yards, maybe 50 yards, 50, 75 yards. I'm very close, and all of a sudden that I see the white ball come into the form of half dolphin, half man. From the waist down, it was a dolphin. Waist up, it was a man, and a beautiful iridescent colors, and like what you see with the dolphins, that have the aqua green, sea green, bluish green and stuff, all these different shadings, just beautiful, beautiful. God, so beautiful. And he turned and looked at me and had this big old grin. And who was it? The same one that that came to me in the boat, had that jolliness, tell me that, don't you know? Crystals you can astral travel with crystals. And then other ones would show up, teach me things. and here he is, he's got this grin, this jolliness, and he winks at me, and I can tell that he's kind of like the king. This isn't a lower, on the status, lower one. No, oh my lord, this is a very high-ranking being, and it's like, there he is. He's got a hold of this black, being, that's in this black ball. And it's like I got this. This is almost kind of fun. There's no way that this darkness was going to beat him. And so here they are. They're engaging in this battle, and the clash of the lightning, is this they're fighting, and the Dogons are kicking butt. And I had I want to tell you about this one story about this one Oklahoma woman, because I came across this story not long after that I got to see that I was on their planet, because I was, after that they re-engaged and went back up, then I was back home. There was a woman here in Oklahoma. She had a son, and he was autistic, and he was around about, I think, 8 or 9 or so years of age. And she had this dream where she was sitting on this beach, and this dolphin came out of the waters, and it was holding its baby in its pin's arms. Baby dolphin, its baby. Dolphin comes up to her, hands her her baby, and tells her, "Take care of my baby. Look after my baby." And the dolphin returns to the water and goes on. Well, she tells this to one of her best friends. He was a guy, and he sits there and he looks up about this work therapy that they do with dolphins down in Florida, and he began um, doing a fundraiser to send them down there, and he was able to, through fundraisers and with even this putting in quite a bit of his own money, was able to come up with the money and stuff to send her down there. Now, her son never spoke one word, and she talks about within the first, like, 3 or 4 days of the first week that they were there, that he started speaking words, a word here and there. And then it's like after a week, spoke his first sentence. And it was a Saturday of the second week that they were there. And I mean, the progression of this child was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And it was getting around daybreak that she awoke, and she heard her child just bawling and bawling and bawling. And she looked all around their hotel, which was like a kitchenette hotel. And she finally found him. He was under the table, and it was in a corner. And she crawled underneath him and gathered him up, and he was going, "My poor bee, my poor bee, my poor bee, my poor bee, my poor bee." That's all he just kept saying over and over. And it was not long that the phone rang, but like, I think it was around 7:30, something like that. And it was one of the trainers. And he told her, he says, "I'm sorry to inform you of this, but B passed away at 6 o'clock." Or no, it was 5 o'clock. It was 5 o'clock. B passed away at 5 o'clock this morning, which is the exact time that she awoke and found her son sobbing and sobbing and saying, "My poor bee, my poor bee." That gets in my heart. That gets my heart quite a bit. And what an awesome story. The Dogons. This is why that it is so important to stop them from attacking the dolphins, and especially when they go after tuna, because dolphins are so often caught in nets. They're not, well, there are those who know about them. And the pilot dolphins, they call them pilot whales. They're really not whales, they're dolphins. But even the whales are Dogons. They are Dogons. That's why that dolphins, that you hear stories about dolphins and like the belugas. There was a beluga where this woman, she dropped her phone, and this beluga got it and brought it back up to her. And so we just raised up your intelligence and your knowledge. Butterflies. When I see butterflies and I see these little ones that are flying around, I call them sprites, because I've had them show up. Tell you, have you ever seen The Abyss with Ed Harris, where they're on this drilling rig down in the deep waters on the shelf, and there's this one SEAL team that comes down there, and they're brought in nuclear warheads, and they know about this this alien race that are in this ship that are further down right off the shelf from where they're at, and they're sent in to blow it up with this nuclear warhead. And Ed Harris gets into this suit where it has this liquid that's got oxygen in it, and he's going down after this warhead to neutralize it. And he meets these aliens, and the way that their wings are, they're in this water. The two fairies, there's one was blonde and one was brunette, their wings were like that. And they had that, kind of mother of pearl, shimmering over the beautiful coloring of their wings, and just flying around me. And this is the second time that I had met them. The first time that I was out in this nature, and there was this mound, grass, and there was this entry where they're all going in and out, a whole bunch of them. And this one comes up, takes a hold of my hand, does this, puts this little disc in my hand, and as I'm bringing it closer to me, it is increasing in size, to adjust to my size. And I see that it is a CD that I have. And this is when I was really first starting out working on my journey back to me. And it was a CD that I had, a collection of music back from my era. And I realized that I had stopped listening to music. I didn't realize that, but I had. For quite some time, I'm talking about 2 or 3 years, I stopped listening to any music whatsoever. And I knew that what they were telling me, that as I am working on my computer, I just got it, that I need music. And that helped me, gave me energy. And so I could work and work and work. And as long as I kept that music going, I could keep going and keep going and keep going. And that explained music to me very well. that there's music that you put on that gives you energy so that you can do what you need to do. And then, like at nighttime when you need, or whenever it's time for you to get some rest, go to bed, bring things in, so you play that music. So I knew the power of music. It explained it very well to me. And yes, um, we need music to have restrictions on it, that what the contents are. And so, anyway, these two were flying around, and I caught one of them, and she's the one that had the blonde hair, and she was so mad. She was pissed at me, and she literally went. And I sat there. I started cracking up, and I said, oh, I said, don't be mad at me. I said, you were so beautiful. I said, I just had to get a better look at you. And she went from this to, that bashfulness, and then I opened up my hands, and the brunette one was there too, and you two are so beautiful. I've never seen anything like you all. And they took me into this superette, and they were wanting me to buy chocolate. And I was like, what? And they're telling me chocolate, chocolate. I need to be eating chocolate. I need chocolate. Well, okay. And so, my memory of that was that I got these chocolate cakes and stuff, that I was eating them, and I could tell that my pain was kind of easing up. And so I looked into this, what's got cocoa in it. Well, isn't that something? Yeah, yeah. And I tell you something else, truffles. I noticed that when I would eat a truffle, that some of my pain would come down. And you need to know that if you are eating anything chocolate and you take a breathalyzer test, you're going to flunk it. Um, when I was taking criminal law, before I went over into medicine, the professor had one of the students volunteer not to eat anything after 10 o'clock. That class, my law enforcement class, was at 9 a.m. And so when we come in, he handed him a Hershey candy bar, nothing else in it, just plain Hershey candy bar. He waited 20 minutes, had him do the breathalyzer test, and he flunked it. The breathalyzer test cannot discern one chemical from another chemical. It can only tell you that you got a concentration of some chemical in your system. That's why that there are people who are given breathalyzer tests that want a blood test to prove that they were not drinking, they were not intoxicated, especially that they had nothing in their system. And those things that they put on your vehicle that you got to blow into, you don't want to have, you want to wait a little while. Whatever you had something to eat, you want to wait a little while before you blow into that thing, because you're going to get a false positive on it, and they know that. That's why that attorneys tell you don't take the breathalyzer test. You want to prove your innocence, that you're not drunk, or that you've had no intoxicants. You want a blood test. So anyway, that's what they were showing me, the Dogon people. I seen this one documentary about dolphins, or no, on the Dogons, and it ended, the very last scene was this guy walking on the beach, and he says, by the way, if you ever wish to meet the Dogons, just come to the oceans and be with the dolphins. You'll meet the Dogons. And he ends it. And it's like, yeah, you're right. If you want to meet the Dogon people, just be with the dolphins. You know, I'm going to tell you this too, because this is coming to mind. And I know if I get something that comes to mind, that I know that I better share it. I need to share it. When I was reading about Pleiadians and all this other stuff on Orions, and I'm thinking, now do they really exist? You know, and I started feeling like a little leaving about the Dogons, and I'm going, wait a minute, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And I turned my attention, and again, there's something come up about the Pleiadians, and they're supposed to be this, and it was like I really started thinking about, well, you know, are they good people? Can I sense that? Can I maybe experience them to know what, are the Pleiadians real? And I felt this greater leaving of the Dogon, and it was like, no, wait, don't go. Why are you going? Don't go. Don't go. Why are you leaving me? Why are you leaving me when I'm sitting here I'm just trying to find out about these Pleiadians and what is that? The starts with the name. I can't think of it. Andromeda. All this stuff, and it was like the more that I was trying to look into what people or whatever that these hierarchy people, Andromeda and Orion's belt, blah blah blah, and the Dogon were backing off from me, leaving me, and it was like, that right there tells me that I am not so open to this stuff. Because if the Dogons are backing off of that, and I know the Dogons are these wonderful, beautiful, beautiful people, beautiful beings, then I'm going to pay attention. If they back off of something, then I better be very careful. So, the Dogons have some pictures of dolphins. Get you some figurines of dolphins. Read about the Dogons. And you too, may very well be so blessed to have them visit you. I tell you right quick, I think that, well, I'm very certain. Now, Sirius A is the larger planet. B and C are a little smaller. It does take planet B right at 365 days to go around Sirius A. And actually, there is a tribe, I think it's in Africa, that are called the Dogon people, that they knew everything about the Dogons. They knew the distance from Earth to the Sirius planet. They even knew its, I can't remember, mass, weight, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I know it had to do with weight. And all this information that they knew, it wasn't until that we got the telescope and then we got advanced technology that absolutely everything that the Dogon people, tribes, said about the Dogon Sirius planet, every bit it was true. So no doubt the Dogon people are real. You can get books and read about it, and I would tell you that more than likely that if you get the books, if you start researching the Dogon, I would bet that you'll have a visit with them. I got somebody at the door. I need to go. Take care, everyone. I hope you like this, enjoyed this. Much love. Bye bye.